Hey everyone, this is Josh with Josh Wright Piano TV. This is a new technique series for piano, all based around different technical problems with questions people have, as well as different musical concepts that we've been discussing. The past two videos have dealt all with how we can be more accurate and how we can organize our practicing. And today's video is in response to Carrie. He had a question about trills. I'm going to try and make these videos a little bit more brief. In the past they've been 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to try and fit everything into a little 10-minute segment. So today we're just going to jump right into how we can improve our trills. First thing first is I would say a lot of pianists or piano students learn how to do trills with 2 and 3. So as we get better with those, they become more rapid, but I have always wondered why they've been taught to me with 2 and 3, and to really most piano students. I think a lot of scores ride in the fingering 2 and 3, but one of the first things we should realize is that 1 and 3 provides a lot more agility for us. So because using 1 and 3 allows us to shake our hand back and forth because we have the opposable thumb, and it allows our fingers to do this, whereas when you're doing 2 and 3 you can shake your hand a little bit, but this just allows your movement to be minimalized. First thing we should know about trills, once we've started using that fingering, when we can. Before I move on, maybe I'll expound on that point. We should use 1 and 3 whenever we can, but we also need to be able to trill with anything. So we should be able to trill with 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, and I would probably stay away from 3 and 4, just because from what I've heard they are connected to the same tendon, and it's probably the weakest of all is 3 and 4, and 4 and 5 is quite weak as well, but 2 and 5 and 3 and 5 and 2 and 4, all of those are really good combinations. So here's 2 and 4, here's 2 and 5, here's 3 and 5. And just for example, you might ask, where in the world would 3 and 5 come into place? In Liszt's La Campanella, he has a passage where you have to be playing your thumb every 4 notes of the trill, and 3 and 5 are just... And I'm definitely not the best at trills, but I have practiced that a lot in order to get the 3 and 5 quite accurate and quite effective. So let's go over how, now that we know what kinds of combinations we can do, and also that using 1 and 3 is always the best. Let's go over a few practical examples and how we can improve them. So I'm actually going to use my little sister's music today. She is 12 years old and she's working on the Mozart Sonata K4 545 in C major. So it's the really famous one on all the ringtones. And we're just going to take, right before the close of the first little section, we're just going to take this trill. So a lot of students that I've taught this to have gotten a little bit messed up as soon as they start putting their trill together, because they don't feel really confident with their trills. They'll be going, and it will mess up their left hand. First thing we need to understand about trills is they have to be independent from the other hand. So this left hand has to be completely independent and even. So I'm just going to demonstrate an example of being independent. I can go in a really slow tempo with my trill, or I can go really fast. See how they were the same tempo in the left hand? Get that into your mind, that the trill has to be independent. It cannot mess up whatever else is going on in the music, because the trill will seem more effortless and it will just seem natural. Even if, like, I don't feel like my trills are really all that fast, But I've listened to a lot of professionals, and some of their trills aren't even that fast, but they do it in such a magical way, and they are so perfectly even in their trills, and they don't let the left hand become affected, or if it's trilling in the left hand, the right hand's not affected. It really comes to be quite magical. A concept my teachers taught me is that if something is cleaner and very precisely together and very accurate, it will sound faster than if it is quick and sloppy. So if you're playing, for example, I haven't played this for quite a few months, but if you're playing like the Chopin Etude, Opus 10, number 4, if you're trying to go in an unreasonable tempo, it's actually not going to sound nearly as fast, and it's not going to be magical at all than if you just take it in a tempo that you can be a little bit more accurate in. So I think that is one of the biggest concepts that we need to understand about trills. I want to just jump right into a technical exercise that you can do every single day. This was taught to me by the girl whose trills are better than any professionals I've ever heard. I competed against her in a competition, and in my opinion, she's one of the best pianists I've seen, especially for someone of such a young age. And she taught me this. We were staying in the same housing. We have host families at this competition we were at, and we actually ended up being with the same host family because they were short at the competition of houses that people stayed in. So we would. I was really young at the time. I was only 17, and this competition went up to age 28. And I think she was in her mid-20s, and we would just sit and talk every night. And since I was cut the very first round, and she made it clear to the last round, I believe, she would sit and perform for me every night, and it was just a great opportunity for me to ask questions. I was still in high school, and she had her master's degree. And I remember asking her about her trills because they just seemed like a hummingbird almost. It was just so effortless and so magical. And what she taught me was an exercise, and she said, I still remember, she told me, my friend Andre started practicing this exercise because I never practice it, and his trills even got better than mine. And so I'm a pretty firm believer in this, and this has greatly helped my trills. What we do is we start and we just build on one note of the trill. So here we're going to be trilling on B and A in this little section. So we'll start with the top note, which is B. So there's that note. And then we're going to take combinations of two different notes at the same time, and we're going to do B to A and then A to B. So and until that is really effective. And then we'll take three notes at a time. So we'll do A, B, A, and then B, A, B until you feel really confident and it's full tempo. Remember that these little pieces have to be in tempo, or else this whole exercise is meaningless. So until that's really good, and then B, A, B. And then taking four notes at a time. And one thing you should always look for is that you're never lifting off the keys. That is absolutely a disaster if you're lifting your finger off the keys, but you shouldn't even be letting the keys all the way up. So if you notice, I'm depressing these keys and then I don't even let them all the way up. Because we're just using such minimal motion, we should just let them up to a point where it is just barely, the hammers are barely depressing on the piano. So then we would take 5. And then 5 the other way. And you can see sometimes the notes don't even depress because I am so close to that key bed where the hammers are releasing and where they would just stay. So sometimes if you're so close to the keys, this is what will happen. The notes won't even. So you have to barely go above where they're releasing and then go back down. So, and you just keep doing that. You just keep adding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be the next one. And then back down. Until you can really just get comfortable. And once you start getting 7, 8, 9, your hand's going to start getting used to that little shaking motion. If anyone has any questions, please email me. It's josh@joshwrightpiano.com.